My name is Amina Khan. I was 28 years old that New Year's Eve, still living in the same modest two-bedroom flat in Islamabad where I'd grown up. And that was the night everything I thought I knew about my parents cracked wide open. The clock had just hit midnight. Fireworks were bursting outside the balcony windows, painting the dark sky in bursts of gold and crimson. Inside, the dining table was still heavy with the remains of our family dinner. Plates of biryani, kebabs that had gone cold, and half-empty glasses of cold drink. My uncle, Baba's younger brother, Uncle Farhan, leaned back in his chair with that easy, loud laugh of his and turned straight to me. "So, Amina Beta," he said, voice warm and a little tipsy from the evening. "Tell me, how's that $3 million trust fund treating you these days? Must be nice, eh? Your grandparents always said it would set you up properly." The room went still. The fireworks outside kept popping. But in here the silence was sudden and heavy. I blinked, confused. A small smile still frozen on my face because I thought he was joking. $3 million? I barely had enough in my savings to cover next month's rent and my old scooter's repair bill. But my parents, their faces drained of every drop of color. Amy's hand, the one holding her glass, started to tremble so badly the ice cubes rattled. Abu's shoulders stiffened like someone had poured cold water down his back. Ghost white. Both of them. I had never seen them look like that. Not even the day the doctor told us about Abu's heart scare 2 years ago. I laughed nervously. "Uncle, what trust fund? You're teasing me again, right?" Uncle Farhan's smile faltered. He glanced at my parents, then back at me, eyebrows pulling together. "No Beta. Your dada and Dottie left it for you when they passed. Your father was the trustee. Everyone in the family knew. It was supposed to be released to you on your 25th birthday. You don't know." My stomach dropped. I looked at Amy. Her lips were pressed so tight they had gone pale. Abu was staring at the tablecloth like it might swallow him whole. The ticking of the wall clock suddenly sounded louder than the fireworks. That was the moment the first real crack appeared in my heart. Because up until then, life had felt normal. Warm even. I worked as a junior accounts manager at a small logistics firm in Blue area. Long hours, decent enough pay, but nothing extra. I helped Amy with groceries every weekend, drove Abu to his checkups, and we still sat together every Friday evening drinking chai on the balcony while the call to prayer drifted over the city. They had always told me we were a simple family. "Allah has given us enough," Amy would say, patting my hand. "Don't chase money, Beta. It brings problems." I believed them. I never asked questions about the grandparents' estate because they always changed the subject, said it was complicated paperwork and nothing left after hospital bills. But now, sitting there with fireworks still exploding outside and my uncle's confused eyes on me, I felt the first cold thread of suspicion curl in my chest. Why would my own parents go ghost white at the mention of money that was supposedly mine? I tried to push the feeling away. Families have secrets, I told myself. Maybe it was a small amount and they didn't want me to get excited. Maybe Uncle had mixed up the numbers. I even reached over and squeezed Amy's hand under the table, whispering, "It's okay, Amy. Uncle is just drunk and remembering old stories." She pulled her hand back like my touch burned her. That small gesture, the way she flinched, stayed with me the rest of the night. I smiled through the rest of the celebrations, hugged everyone at midnight, took photos like nothing was wrong. But inside, something had shifted. A quiet doubt had slipped in, and it refused to leave. The days after New Year's Eve felt heavier than usual. Islamabad's winter fog hung low over the Margala hills, and every morning I woke up with the same question looping in my mind. Was there really a trust fund? And why had my parents looked like they'd seen a ghost when Uncle Farhan mentioned it? Life tried to go back to normal. I still left for the office at 8:30. The familiar smell of Amy's parathas and chai filling the small kitchen. She would pack my lunch in the same old steel tiffin, her gold bangles clinking softly as she moved. Abu sat at the breakfast table with his newspaper, glasses perched on his nose, murmuring about politics the way he always did. "Beta, traffic will be bad today. Take the longer route." His voice was the same, calm, protective. But when our eyes met, there was something new there. A flicker. Like he was waiting for me to say something. I didn't. Not yet. I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe Uncle had exaggerated. My grandparents had been comfortable. Yes, Dada owned a few shops in Rawalpindi before he passed. But $3 million? That was the kind of number you heard about in Dubai or America, not in our quiet family in Islamabad. Still, the memory of Amy's trembling hand and Abu's pale face kept replaying. I started noticing little things I never paid attention to before. The way Amy sometimes locked her phone screen too quickly when I walked into the room. The new air conditioner in their bedroom that they said was a gift from a relative. The occasional evenings when they would whisper in the living room after I went to bed, their voices low and urgent. One evening in mid-January, I came home early from work. The office had closed for some training, and I was tired of pretending everything was fine. The flat smelled of frying onions. Amy was making keema. I kicked off my shoes at the door and heard their voices from the kitchen before they noticed me. She can never find out. Farhan, I already slipped once. Abu was saying, his tone sharp. We used it for the business, for her education, for the house. It's gone. If she asks, we say it was lost in bad investments. Simple. Amy's voice was softer but trembling. She's our only daughter, Ahmed. How long can we hide it? She's 28 now. She should have had that money to start her own life. Maybe marry properly. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stood frozen in the hallway, the smell of spices suddenly turning sour in my throat. Gone. They had used my trust fund. My grandparents' money meant for me, spent without a word. For their business that never really took off. For my education that was just a regular local degree. For this very flat we lived in. I stepped into the kitchen. The pan hissed on the stove. Both of them turned, faces draining of color for the second time in weeks. Amy, Abu. My voice came out quieter than I expected. What trust fund? Silence stretched. Abu set his tea cup down so hard the saucer rattled. Amy wiped her hands on her dupatta, eyes darting everywhere but at me. Amina, beta, it's not what you think. Abu started. Then tell me what it is, I said. My hands were shaking, but I kept them at my sides. Uncle Farhan said $3 million. Dollars. From Dada and Dottie. For me. And you spent it. Emmy's eyes filled with tears. We only took what we needed. The business was struggling after your Dada passed. Hospital bills, your school fees in better institutions. We thought we could replace it later. But things got worse. We didn't want you to worry. We wanted to protect you. Protect me? The words tasted bitter. By lying to me for years? By letting me think we were just a simple middle-class family scraping by while you lived off money that was never yours? Abu's face hardened a little, the way it did when he felt cornered. Watch your tone, Amina. We are your parents. Everything we did was for this family. That money would have made you careless. Look at your cousins, money ruined them. We raised you with values. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Came out broken. The betrayal sat heavy in my chest, like a stone I couldn't swallow. My own parents had erased my future without ever asking me. No discussion. No explanation. Just taken. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in my room staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly. The same room I'd slept in since I was a child. The trust fund wasn't just money. It was the chance to study abroad, to start a small business, to live without counting every rupee. It was the safety net my grandparents had tried to give me because they knew how unpredictable life could be. And my parents had quietly spent it all, then smiled at me every single day like nothing was wrong. The next morning I did something I never thought I would. I called Uncle Farhan and asked for the full details, old documents, bank names, anything he remembered. He sounded surprised but promised to help. Your dada trusted your father as trustee, beta. I warned him back then, but family, you know. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't crying in front of them. But inside, the calm, respectful daughter they had raised was quietly making plans. I needed proof first. Then I would decide what came next. Over the next few weeks, the truth unfolded like a slow, painful unraveling. Uncle Farhan quietly helped me gather the old papers, yellow documents from the lawyer in Rawalpindi, bank statements showing transfers over the years. The numbers were real. My grandparents had left a trust worth nearly $3 million, converted and managed through offshore accounts they had set up carefully. It was meant to mature and come to me on my 25th birthday, with my father as the sole trustee. Instead, piece by piece, my parents had withdrawn almost everything. Some went to Abu's failed import business, some to family emergencies. And a surprising amount had quietly paid for my cousin's wedding in Canada 2 years ago. The one they had told me was funded by loans from friends. I confronted them one quiet Sunday afternoon when the sun was slanting through the balcony doors and the call to ASR prayer was echoing from the nearby mosque. The flat smelled of fresh laundry and the faint trace of Amy's rose attar. I placed the folder of documents on the dining table between us. I know everything, I said quietly. My voice didn't shake this time. Every transfer, every rupee spent, you didn't just hide it from me. You stole my future. Amy covered her mouth with both hands, tears spilling freely now. Abu looked older than I had ever seen him. Shoulders slumped, eyes red-rimmed. For a long moment no one spoke. The only sound was the distant honking of scooters on the street below. We were scared, Abu finally whispered. After your dada passed, the business collapsed. We thought, if we could just keep the family afloat, we could repay it before you found out. But it kept growing. The interest, the opportunities, we convinced ourselves it was for the family. You are the family, Amina. I looked at them. My parents, the two people who had bandaged my knees, prayed for me every night and taught me to be honest. The betrayal cut deeper than any stranger's lie ever could. You taught me right from wrong, I said softly. Yet you did this. Not once did you sit me down and say we need help. You chose silence and lies instead. The confrontation wasn't loud. There were no shouts or broken plates. Just heavy, aching words and the sound of Amy's quiet sobbing. I told them I needed time. I moved out the next week into a small rented room near my office. Nothing fancy. Just a clean space with a single bed and a desk where I could think clearly. The first nights were lonely. I missed the familiar creak of our old wooden doors, the smell of Amy's cooking. But I also felt something new, clarity. Word spread slowly through the family. Uncle Farhan, unable to stay silent any longer, shared the truth with a few close relatives during a gathering for a relative's funeral. Whispers turned into open conversations. At the next family wedding, people looked at my parents differently. No one said anything cruel in front of them, but the warmth had cooled. Abu's brothers stopped asking him for advice on financial matters. Amy found herself sitting alone more often at family events, her usual circle of aunties suddenly busy elsewhere. It wasn't dramatic revenge. It was the quiet consequence of broken trust. People who had once praised them for raising such a respectful daughter now saw the cracks. My parents tried to reach out. Abu called several times, voice thick with regret, offering to sell the flat and repay whatever they could. Amy sent long voice messages late at night, crying about how they had only wanted the best for me. Part of me wanted to forgive them immediately. The daughter in me still loved them fiercely. But the woman I was becoming knew that real forgiveness needed honesty, not just tears. I told them I would always be their daughter, but trust had to be rebuilt slowly, if at all. For now, I needed to stand on my own feet. With Uncle Farhan's help and some legal advice from a friend at work, I pursued the remaining traces of the fund. It wasn't about getting rich, it was about reclaiming what was mine and closing the chapter with dignity. In the end, we recovered very little. Most was long gone. But the process itself gave me strength. I started saving aggressively, took on freelance accounting work in the evenings, and even enrolled in an online certification course. Small steps toward the independence my grandparents had wanted for me. Months passed. The winter fog lifted, and Islamabad's spring brought new jasmine blooming on the balconies. I visited my parents on weekends sometimes. The conversations were careful, filled with long silences and careful apologies. Amy cooked my favorite dishes without being asked. Abu helped me service my scooter, his hands still steady despite everything. Healing wasn't loud or complete. It was quiet acts of care mixed with the knowledge that some wounds leave scars. Looking back now, I realized the money was never the real loss. The real wound was the years of pretending, the quiet theft of my autonomy. But it also taught me something profound. Family is not just blood and shared meals. It is truth, respect, and the courage to face mistakes. I learned to value my own voice, to set boundaries with love, and to build a life that no one could quietly take away again. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about that New Year's Eve, the fireworks, the rattling ice cubes, and my parents' ghost white faces. It was the night I stopped being just their daughter and started becoming myself.